welcome to Stylissimo, the show with a history of style. I'm Kat Deely, and this week we delve into the archives to select for you our best cutting-edge stories from the world of music, art and fashion that have appeared on Stylissimo in the past. These are the treats that lie in store for you today. Director Chris Cunningham on location. How to wear red. The artwork of record label Mo Wax. A profile on designer Alexander McQueen. Rucksacks on the streets of Tokyo. Work of furniture designer Verner Panton. And a collection from Walter van Beirendonck. Now, our first guest rarely talks on camera, but he made an exception for Stylissimo. Chris Cunningham started his career making special effects for horror flicks like Alien 3, and now has an impressive list of credentials. Directing videos for Portishead, Aphex Twin, and most famously, Madonna's Frozen video. We caught up with Chris Cunningham on location in London, directing his most recent video project for Square Pusher. Let me hand you over to the master at work so you can get a better idea of his creative talents. Here he is.
I was working on a film for Stanley Kubrick as a special effects designer, and then I worked on Alien 3 as a sculptor and an engineer. So I kind of started getting ideas about directing. I used to read a lot of comics. I stopped reading comics when I was about 15, but for a good 4 years, I basically had my head buried in comics constantly. And you kind of are the sum of your influences, kind of thing. I reckon even if I was to do something completely normal and pedestrian, there'd be something sci-fi in there, even if it's just in the sound or the atmosphere or something. I don't reckon I'd ever be able to get away from that. I was really, really into the whole electronic music scene back in '94. So I approached Autechre to do a video, and so I kind of managed to cobble together a video for next to no money. Shot with a Super 8 camera and being chased around the London Underground by attendants for filming where we shouldn't. The funny thing is that the Portishead video is that it's like the underwater aspect of it is supposed to be not relevant. It was kind of like I just wanted it to feel like a dream.
The Aphex video is very one-track minded.
So I was absolutely over the moon to do the Madonna video, because I mean, A, I liked the track, but B, it was an extreme opposite of doing the Aphex video. I wasn't necessarily trying to do a manga thing, but I basically wanted to do like a cartoon character. And when I saw that little girl, she looks like a cartoon character. She just looks unreal, you know.
He came up with all the ideas for the visual stuff. I mean, the thing is with me, I just sort of thought, you know, just do what you want.
It's basically just about a little girl, you know, in a Japanese mental asylum who has kind of obviously been sitting in a room formulating a plan to escape and outwit the two, like, Laurel and Hardy guards.
She puts me into this laboratory where she does a brain swap with this dog, so I become a dog.
I think with me, I always assume people are going to think something bollocks anyway. So if they think it's good, it's always a nice surprise.
Oh, no, it sounds all right, mate. It sounds like Goldie.
As always, Stylissimo is right on the cutting edge of fashion. Last season, we gave you our hot fashion tip, red. We had such a huge response from you about this shoot that we're going to treat you to it one more time. A colour that survived the seasons and is still featured on the catwalk for this summer. Red is most definitely a statement and great for feeling sexy in. So, if you were wondering just how to wear it, take a look at this. From fashion to music, releasing such talents as DJ Shadow, Futura and Howie B, James Lavelle and his record label Mo Wax have also gained a reputation for their avant-garde album cover artwork. When the label had an exhibition in Cologne, Germany, we were right there to chat to the artists and musicians, as well as check out the impressive selection of record sleeve designs.
Hey, I'm James Lavelle from Mo Wax Recordings. Chilling in Cologne, Germany. With Mo Wax, we always like to do events which don't just incorporate the musical aspect, but other things, especially the art side of it. Urban archaeology is just a term that I thought would sum up pretty much where Mo Wax and the elements and surroundings come from. From constantly searching within an urban environment for records, art, photos, music, and it all comes from our urban surroundings. When we came up with the idea of doing a gallery show, we also wanted to do something different rather than just having pieces of artwork hanging on the walls. We had to try and come up with an idea which showed the artwork just in an original way. We came up with the idea of putting all the artwork on cubes. There's artwork here from Giovanni, from 3D, from Futura.
This looks really nice, and I'm very proud of my representation here as Futura. And even if I didn't know about this and I happened to walk in here, I think this place was pretty cool.
There's artwork from Shin, who's a designer in Japan who does most of the really good Japanese hip-hop records. Certain photographers like B+, that does all of the shadow stuff.
Everything on this cube was designed by myself, and B+, who's a photographer in LA, that does a lot of hip-hop photos.
There's a film downstairs which was done for Liquid Liquid, which is a kind of 80s punk, funk, quite seminal band that was sampled by Grandmaster Flash.
Bass.
This is what we do, you know, we make records and we muck around on Macs, and it's not trying to be in your face, hey, you know, we're a serious art label. It just is an important aspect to think of the label. That's where we're at.
I can hardly believe how time flies when we're together. It's almost the break, but I'll be right back with British designer Alexander McQueen, a rucksacks fashion shoot in Tokyo, Danish furniture designer Verner Panton, and the catwalk of Walter van Berentonk. Don't you dare move. I'll see you very soon.
You're watching Madonna and you want to know the latest gossip? Well, just flick on to MTV Text and get all the information you need. MTV Text on MTV.
TQ and his brilliant debut album, They Never Saw Me Coming, featuring the massive hit West Side. And the new single, Bye Bye Baby. The album, They Never Saw Me Coming, from TQ.
I am the god of hellfire, and I bring you fire.
Around 25 years ago, certain rock giants emerged. Artists like Cream, Deep Purple, Jethro Tull and Black Sabbath. Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Status Quo, Thin Lizzy and the Moody Blues.
In the white room with black.
The sheer scale of the tracks they produced had never been heard before or since. Now, the best 60 are available on Rock Festival. But you can't buy it in the shops. You have to order by phone. If money were no object, there's only one way to recreate the immense sound of these tracks. The other is to buy Rock Festival. To get your copy, call now. At Insight, we know great music when we hear it.
Останови счетчик. Радио Классика.
Уважаемые москвичи и гости столицы, 5 июня в 11 часов утра стартует 7-й международный забег на Останкинскую телебашню и спортивные игры 7 журналистов и однофамильцев Пушкина. Организаторы мероприятия – Главный центр радиовещания и телевидения и Фонд благотворительных программ Московского международного марафона мира. Приглашаем всех желающих принять участие в спортивно-развлекательном празднике, посвященном 200-летию со дня рождения Пушкина.
What doing when the fat boys tripping?
MTV, lead, don't follow.
part 2 of Stylissimo's Cutting Edge Special Edition. Taking the fashion world by storm is British designer Alexander McQueen. In his short career, McQueen has continued to offer a unique, rebellious and individual approach to design. We talk to a host of top models about the secret of his success, as well as the man himself.
I think I have just one image in my head of a woman and the way I want her to look.
Where he comes up with his ideas, I don't know, but every season he manages to come up with a really amazing idea and concept that everyone is totally blown away by.
He actually makes his madness a reality.
He's just really good, you know, he knows how to put on a show.
If I'm spending £100,000 on a show, I don't want people going out there looking like they just come from Marks and Spencer's.
You're always really hyped up before you do the show, so it's really cool.
It's all about being individual. You can do whatever you like, whatever you feel.
It's just like hyping you up right before you're going to come out. It's just hyping you. You come out and you go for the show of your life.
What I asked Alexander to do was, I wanted to portray someone who's not like me today, but who I was a year ago.
I directed the last album cover, Homogenic, and we sort of hung out together a bit.
Everything he suggested and everything he came out with, I was just so stunned by. The only thing was the contact lenses I wore. We had some talks about it, and he convinced me in the end.
She's an intense person who's got quite an intense attitude to what she really wants. She doesn't really sway, which is good.
I sent him off to Millet's to get a Union Jack, and I said, now make one of your jackets out of that Union Jack.
He wanted something that represented England for the way it was now. So he got a very classical 16th century frock coat, and we poured all wax over it and a few other things over it.
It smelt like a brewery, a coffee brewery. Is there such a thing as a coffee brewery?
Over the past year, we've been through such a lot, you know, with all the stuff at Givenchy and McQueen, and it's been like a really tough year.
I have one client in Paris, and I have a different client for McQueen, and never betray me. One's based on youth and culture in London, another's based on Paris and classicism.
Givenchy is more couture-y, so it has to be more over the top, more beautiful in a way.
Got here at 1, the show's not till 8 o'clock, but I can't wait to get out there at the moment. Just pumped up.
So it's what keeps you interested in fashion, isn't it? I mean, what's the point in doing it if you're not into it? So, because, I mean, that's why people are in fashion, because it's exciting.
You're like Jeanne d'Arc, and you're captured by aliens, and you're in a time warp, and you come out in the year 2300.
They're all cloned, the women and the men. They all look like albinos.
It was quite evil, quite dark, and quite satanistic, I'd say, with the red eyes and with the fire, and it was very evilish and very, very Alexander.
I used to like lots of jewellery people like Sean Lean and Sarah Armani.
We wanted to have the sort of metal covering, but with an elegance and a grace and a movement about the whole thing.
It's almost like the world after a nuclear war or something.
I like the more day-wear stuff, you know, for me. Shoes look good. I really enjoyed watching it. I thought it was a great show.
The black chinois sequined dress was incredible. It was beautiful. I really loved it. Really amazing.
I liked a lot the makeup and the hair, and I liked a lot the setting and the whole atmosphere.
Well, I'll give it another 4 or 5 years, something like that. Yeah, I don't want to end up some video designer who can't remember his name.
It's off now to Japan, where Stylissimo took to the streets to shoot a fashion directory on rucksacks. These bags are not only totally practical, but quite literally the coolest daywear accessory around. Worn by everyone from fashion fanatics to students. You're missing out if you haven't got one. So pay attention, because here comes our style guide on rucksacks. Europe now, Denmark to be precise, for a very special exhibition by the great furniture designer Verner Panton, who gained a reputation for his groundbreaking and revolutionary design. The exhibition is a retrospective of his work, which is currently touring Europe. So if you can't make it, here's our tribute to a great furniture designer.
You are entering the exhibition Verner Panton, Light and Color. You are now going to see the magic universe of the world-famous designer Verner Panton. Green room, the first room in the installation. You see one of his magnificent lamps, the so-called spiral lamp. You are now leaving the green room and entering turquoise room. To this side you see the system 1, 2, 3. To the right you see a group of chairs. The chairs are called Sisters Emmentaler and Mrs. Emmentaler. We are now leaving the turquoise room and entering the blue room. Here to the left you see the most famous group of chairs, the wire chairs, the cone chairs. The lamp in the background is the fun lamp. The latest chair of Verner Panton is the amorphic Phantom and is the last design of Verner Panton. We are now leaving the blue room, entering the violet room. Right to the plexiglass chair, you see some very funny chairs. He thinks that the chair should offer the maximum flexibility and enjoyment. We are now entering the magenta room. The lamp you see is the UFO lamp. We are now leaving the magenta room, entering the red room. The living tower is a sofa for unconventional living. It's a kind of sculpture in which you can sit in various positions. We are now leaving the red room, entering the orange room. These group of chairs are school chairs. The black chair with the hole in the back is called Pantoflex. We are now leaving the orange room, entering the yellow room. The flying chairs are maybe one of the most spectacular designs of Verner Panton. People thought that such furniture would be too erotic and it should be forbidden. The reaction to the chairs was the breakthrough for Verner Panton and was the beginning of his long career with famous design. The exhibition itself is an artwork and is the very last work of Verner Panton. Please remember to return the headset to the reception. Thank you.
We're almost at the end of today's show, but before I leave you with our last feature, let me just tell you that on next week's brand new Stylissimo, we've got the latest women's collections from Prada, Matthew Williamson and Galliano, our supermodel pop quiz, a swimsuit fashion shoot, a report on the model Nick Bourne, who ran across Africa, model mission, men's fashion from Jean-Paul Gaultier, and aqua, and loads more. Please remember that I love hearing from you, so keep those emails rolling in. You can email me on stylissimo@mtvme.com. I leave you today with a designer who never fails to shock and delight. Walter van Berendonk's catwalks are as much fashion as theatre, and coming up right now is one of our favourites by the Belgian designer. Enjoy, and I'll see you same time, same place next week. Bye.